because OCD is so weird and specific when it comes to the things that you think and the things that pop into your head. So I realized I sort of figured out that I had OCD later than I would have liked, but I was experiencing, some unwanted thoughts, intrusions, all sorts of things, but I didn't really know what they were. I thought maybe I'm experiencing depression, maybe I'm just experiencing anxiety, but ROCD is a specific type of OCD in which your intrusive thoughts revolve around relationships. Specifically, I would say specifically romantic relationships. And you are so in your head about the idea of love. Am I feeling love enough? Am I attached to my partner enough? And I was at this point where, I had been with Annie, my fiance now, for a couple years. So the relationship was starting to get very serious, and a lot of big questions were coming up about, I'm going to move in with her soon. I'm going to potentially spend the rest of my life with her. All these things, it was my first relationship that I've ever been in, especially first long-term relationship. So a lot of these questions came up, and I just became so obsessive and so worried about the future of this relationship, the possibility of losing this relationship, the possibility that I don't love enough, the possibility that it's not right, or that it could be wrong, or that something is wrong with it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what ROCD is, and OCD in general, is just second guessing every little thought you have and being so in your head about what could be going right and what could be going wrong. And everything that looks like it might be going slightly wrong blows up and becomes the biggest problem in the world. And you become debilitated, and it affects your daily life.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you just described my life when I was 12, like in terms of, because I mean, it's really, and like, as you were speaking, I was thinking about, sort of my own relationship with it, right? Where it's like, I have had those thoughts, right? Where it's like, am I connecting enough? Is my partner, getting enough from me? Am I ruining the relationship I'm in just by, not, by being in my head so much? I'm curious, like, for you, when did you start having these thoughts?
So it was the beginning of 2021.
Wow, the specific year around time. Wow.
You know why? Because, and it goes back into the New Orleans thing.
Yeah.
Because I was living at home after the pandemic, and then at the end of 2020, I moved back down to New Orleans for that job I got. And that's when Annie and I sort of reunited. And I wanted to move down to be with her. Because again, we kind of got split up during the pandemic. And then we didn't split up, we stayed together. But that was like our big reuniting. And we didn't live together, but we spent a lot of time together at that point.
Yeah.
So once I'd moved down, once I'd made that big change, the intrusive thoughts started to really.
And you said like when you guys reunited.
Yeah.
So can you tell us, like, and again, feel free to tell as little or, as whatever amount of information you're comfortable sharing, but when you had been together previously prior to 2021.
Yes, we met in 2018.
In 2018, okay.
Yep.
I don't want to age you. In high school?
In college.
In college, okay.
In college,
gotcha.
yeah. So I was in my junior year, she was in her sophomore year.
Okay, gotcha. So you had met in college, you had a relationship, and then you moved to New Orleans.
Pandemic happens my senior year.
Okay.
We drive up together, actually, during the pandemic, up to her parents' house in Wisconsin, stay there for a few months.
Wow, so you did the pandemic together.
We did the pandemic together.
Wow.
And then I went home.
Okay.
After the summer, like once the summer started, and then I decided I want to go back down to New Orleans. I want to. First of all, I had a job that I was trying to get, and I ended up getting it. But more importantly, I wanted to be with her. I really, really wanted to be with her. For a lot, I mean, I felt very deeply in love at that point.
Sure.
And I felt like, again, it was my first relationship, but it was a very strong bond.
Sure.
And
oh wow, first relationship.
It was my first relationship.
Wow. Even more of a reason to stress. You don't have the tools. I mean, you're developing that on the fly.
And I think that's a big part of why this all went down the way it did. I think OCD has a tendency to attack you at the things you love the most.
Wow.
People, and I'll sort of get into this spiel now, like, people really do not have a good understanding of what OCD is and what it's like. I think that the stereotype is that OCD is about things like neatness or things like having to make sure that all your M&Ms are in the right order, or all these things.
Yeah.
And yes, there are examples when OCD can be like that, but OCD actually, they call it obsessive compulsive disorder. That's what it stands for.
Right.
It's exactly how it sounds: an obsession followed by a compulsion. So whatever your obsession may be, maybe the obsession is that you're worried that something's going to happen to you. You're worried that you are going to fall on the stairs in front of your apartment and crack your neck. And if you don't flicker your light 3 times before you leave the house, something terrible will happen.
Can I just, from that definition?
Yes.
Because I had that definition of OCD where it's like, okay, like it's about neatness, right? It's about keeping everything in line.
Yep.
When you said that, it made me think of, and I'm realizing this in real time, when I was younger, my older brother used to, he would like say something, and like, I'd be like doing a childish lie or something like that. Like I had the last cookie, we'll call it, whatever.
Okay.
And then he'd be like, do you swear? And I'd be like, yeah. He goes, do you swear on the Holy Bible? And I'd be like, well, what do you mean? And he goes, well, if you swear on the Holy Bible and you're lying to me, you'll go to hell. And then in my mind, I would go throughout my day and I would have this intrusive thought where I'd be like, okay, I shut the car door. I'm just giving examples, right?
Yep.
I shut the car door and I locked it 3 times. And if I didn't, I'm gonna I swear on the Holy Bible. But if I didn't do that, then I'm gonna go to hell. So then I would have to go back and do. Oh my God, I'm realizing now that I had compulsions like that to do things like that, because in my mind I was justifying it. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to hell.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's like it's always going to be catastrophic.
Yes.
So
that's
that's if you're constantly having catastrophic thoughts all the time, and you're like, it's always to the maximum, that's like a good sign that you might be experiencing something like this.
Yeah.
So in the case of my ROCD, I think looking back, it was like the worst thing that I could possibly experience was losing her. Because, as I said, my connection to her was
You're such a sweet guy. What a lucky lady.
That's
why we're engaged, ladies.
I gotta make sure that people don't think that like, oh, I'm second guessing thoughts or anything.
No,
I'm marrying this woman. Okay, I'm very confident in this.
You're coming on being like, I don't know, man.
No, and I've learned so much about myself through this process, and I've learned so much of learning that I had OCD. I never got officially diagnosed, but good luck finding a doctor who will diagnose me with anything. But I did go to therapy, and my therapist was like, yeah, I think you have OCD.
Sure,
so that's good enough.
Yeah.
And, realizing this about myself really put a lot of things into context. I even remember, like, when I was Googling my symptoms day after day after day, couldn't find anything. There was relationship anxiety, but that's like, if you're worried that your partner's cheating on you.
Yeah.
Like, that's relationship anxiety. That's
right.
not what I was experiencing. I was experiencing emotional distress, intrusive thoughts about whether or not I loved my partner, which that's a conversation we'll get into in a bit, because I think the idea of what the feeling of love is supposed to be,
I understand what you're saying.
can be a very tricky thing.
Yes.